Apparently, the last has not been heard about the allegations of rape by Mrs. Busola Dakolo, wife of popular musician Timi Dakolo, against senior pastor and founder of Zion Assembly Coza, Fatoyinbo. More shocking revelations of the sexual assault were disclosed in a special interview with two of Fatoyinbo'S former spiritual mentors, Pastor Busola Olotu and Reverend Emmanuel Oset, by today's woman media personality, Adesu Onyekone.
I'm so glad to be here with you.
I'm glad you're here too.
Let me start by saying thank you for doing this.
The special interviews between Onyekone and the former mentors of Fatoyinbo on the rape allegations was broadcast on Arise TV.
You see, concerning Busola, what happened was in 2011, a young lady joined this ministry. Her name is Fumi Ayeni. And she joined during our formal inauguration ceremony at Kwara Hotels. She filled a membership form and she became a formal member of this ministry. And somehow she really truly gravitated towards me as a mother. We became quite close. And, you know, she used to talk with me and everything. And, you know, we were, you know, when you run a ministry like this, you are not close to everybody.
That's right.
But she is a daughter in whom I'm well pleased. All my daughters are daughters in whom I'm well pleased, but in the sense that she has consistently been very close to me. She has shared deep things with me. Sat down and then she said, "Mommy, it's not about me. It's about my sister."
Older or younger?
She said, "My younger sister." So I said, "What is it about your younger sister?" She said, "My younger sister has been facing deep psychological challenges since something happened to her years ago." So I said, "What kind of psychological challenges? Is it spiritual, psychological, or what?" She said, "My sister was raped by a pastor." So when she said that, you know, so many emotions ran through me because, number one, I'm a mother. Number two, I'm a pastor, you know, and I was speechless. So I said, "Your sister was raped by a pastor?" She said, "Yes." She said, "And since then, her life has not remained the same."
Did you ask who the pastor is or was?
Yes. And she said, I asked who the pastor was. She was a bit hesitant, I think, because she didn't, I mean, I don't know what, you know, it's just difficult.
They thought you were on his side?
she didn't even know. No, she didn't even know I knew Pastor Biodun. She didn't know I knew Pastor Biodun. And she said to me, "Biodun Fatoyinbo."
At this time, he was no longer in Ilorin?
No, he was no longer in Ilorin, and I hadn't heard from him in years. You know, I actually didn't even know where he was, to be quite honest, at that time. I'll tell you how I knew where he was. I actually didn't know where he was. I didn't know. You know, when she said, "Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo," one of the things that goes through your mind at this time is, what could have possessed a man of God? So anyway, I didn't say much. I said, "Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo." Then she said, "Mommy, the reason why I have come is because I want you to speak to my sister. I think that you counseling her would help her because you're a mother figure. And I want you to talk to her." She said, "Because she is
distraught.
She's distraught. She has gone through terrible personality changes. Number one, I knew Biodun. I couldn't really marry the Biodun I knew to
what you're hearing.
What I'm hearing, you know. So I had to process all that. Eventually, at some point, she now called Busola. And even on the phone, I knew I was speaking to a troubled soul.
Was she married then?
She was not married then. It was part of part of her saga was getting into a relationship. You know, she wanted the relationship. At the same time, she didn't want the relationship because of her past. She was going through, it was like a really Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character thing. You know, it's like mood swings, you know, personality, total personality change from the perspective of the victim. Yes.
I was talking. This speaks to the typical psychology of a rape victim.
Oh yes, I've handled quite a few rape victims. I've handled quite a few rape victims, and I must say that at least 3 of those that I handled, among the many that I handled, actually alleged, you know, because I don't know, they were not willing to come out, you know, but they alleged that it was this same pastor, you know, but, you know, there's no way to prove it, because if they're not willing to actually come out and confront the pastor, which is one of the deep pains that I have personally. I eventually reached out to Biodun, and I'll tell you how I reached out to him. I slept, and I had a revelation. And in that dream, I saw myself being transported in an elevator. Reverend Osset can confirm this. But being transported in an elevator, and I was transported up to a penthouse. And the elevator opened in front of a door. And I stood in front of that door, and I was transported through the door. The door didn't open, I didn't knock. And on the door and on the bed, I saw Reverend Biodun.
With a female?
With a female. So I said, wow.
Isn't it a throwback to what you had heard? Because this probably was like 4 years after?
It was not a throwback to what I'd heard. It wasn't a throwback at all to what I'd heard. I'm going to tell you what happened and how I knew it couldn't have been a throwback. I saw Reverend Biodun on the bed, and I said, Reverend, Pastor, how can you be doing this? This is wrong. This is wrong. You can't do this. It's wrong. You're a man of God. And he leaned up the bed and he looked at me and he said 2 things. He said, there is a grace that covers this. And he said, even if you want it, I will take care of you and show you the world. I didn't know the import of those words. When I had that dream, I woke up, said, Biodun. Then I ran to Reverend Osset, because Reverend Osset is my spiritual father. I go to his church. And I said, Reverend, this is the dream I had about Biodun. I didn't even know it was in Abuja. I didn't know about Biodun. I didn't even know Reverend Osset at that point. I didn't even know Reverend Osset was had ordained him into ministry or was his spiritual father. I didn't know all that. And I said to Reverend, this is a dream I had about Biodun, Fatoyinbo'S and everything. And the next thing Reverend said shocked me. Could it be that Biodun has not stopped this? That's what Reverend said.
Pastor Busola told me specifically that some years back, she had this vision that she saw the pastor in question saying certain things that turned out to be true when he was accused a few years later. And this pastor in question is Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo. And the issue that came out was S.A. Walters. So is this true or false?
Well, Pastor Busola Lotu did tell me that she had that vision. And she then asked if I could make available to him then Biodun's phone number, and I did.
So what did you do personally about that? Did you believe what she told you, or did you caution her, or did you caution,
Knowing Pastor Busola Olutu as I do, I had no reason to doubt what she told me. She's not somebody who is given to hyperbole. She says it the way she feels. So when she told me that she had that dream, of course I believed it. And then he, as I said, asked for the young man's phone number, and I gave it to her. And after quite some efforts, I think she got through to him and delivered her message.
Are you still his spiritual father today?
No.
Why not so?
Basically because when in August 2013, news broke out online concerning him and his ministry, as somebody who was close to, as an elder, I thought it was my responsibility to get across to him. I was preparing to go to the United States for ministry, but it was in August 2013, if you remember. And after quite some efforts, because it was not easy to get through to him, he's a pastor in Ilorin here. I told him, get through to your boss, and I want to share a thing or two with him. Eventually, he succeeded. And then I told him, if he called me from Abuja, and then I told him, yeah, well, this news is all over the place, and I want to hear from you, and I want to also give you some counsel,
As
if
a
need
father.
be. Yeah, exactly. And he said he will get in touch. I said, okay, I'm on my way to the US. While I'm there, if I want to get through to you, how do I do it? I thought he would just say, sir, you can get through to me by using my email. Then he said, well, his fear at that time was that he was being bugged. All he said that he was being bugged. I said, okay. So I left and I traveled.
Meanwhile, Pastor Fatoyinbo'S has reacted to the interview granted by Pastor Olotu and Pastor Osset with a post on his Instagram page. He said that people should not be bothered by those that turn against them after they have been helped by you in the past. The Coza pastor noted that people turn against people who were good to them because they are envious and jealous.